I'm Matt Vincent.
I'm Silent Mike. What do you do this?
I like to, do y'all not watch professional bull riding? Lane Frost waves to the crowd with both hands. I mean,
Who watches professional bull riding?
don't you watch professional bull riding?
Yeah, we do too.
Where do we watch that?
On TV, PBR, Man vs. Beast.
In my backyard, boy. We don't know shit about the South. I'm Silent Mike.
Lane Frost, 8 seconds. Luke Perry played him. Ah, come on.
Who?
I don't know.
Luke Perry, 9-2-0.
Didn't watch it either.
I don't know. I
Missed
don't know.
out.
Sorry, we were busy lifting weights.
Where's
One of
Lane?
us is a world champion.
Hey, you move really good, dude.
You're the next Channing Tatum. Or Joe.
Oh.
That's me and you. Oh, yeah, you're the Jonah Hill.
Alright, this is getting weird. Alright, should you guys learn how to grind through a lift?
Oh.
It was grinding.
That, yeah, no,
But
I was
should
good.
you
I
learn
thought
that
you
or
were.
you should play?
Yeah, I thought we were going with like Channing Tatum grinding, and I think we should
That's
all
what I
learn how to
was
do
too.
that.
Dude, that movie though opened up my eyes to how crazy Channing Tatum is.
He was good. Did you see his wife do it on that show? What is it, like a sing-off or something?
Why?
Who's he married to?
I don't know. She's pretty hot.
Does she grind?
She
She's
did
a
his
super-
no. She did his whole routine.
She
from
did the whole
movie.
Magic Mike dance.
So good too.
She killed it.
Killed it. She's in a
She's
wife
amazing.
beater and shit. How do I get on Magic Mike? If any producers are out there,
His name's already Mike. He's
I'll
halfway
do
there.
Magic Mike 3. I'll just be in the background. Like I'm not as jacked as Joe Manganiello.
They probably
I
need
mean,
like
just
a
YouTube
fluffer.
it.
Oh,
You're chunky
I
now.
think
I don't want to. I'll get jacked.
What are you gonna cut? 50
Chris
pounds? to
Farley
be
did
Magic
it.
Mike?
Chris Farley did
Yeah,
it.
you're not that chunky.
So I used to think you had to grind in terms of weightlifting.
Thank you.
All right.
Which is something Louis Simmons says, and that's why they kind of 1 rep max every day. That's also why they use bands and chains, because the top end, and you'll kind of learn to grind into it. But more recently, I've worked with Jeremy Hamilton, and even before that, I trained more sub-maximally, so
Same.
65 to 85% in my training, and I always got stronger that way. And then my PRs, running some kind of small-off butchered version a long time ago, I squatted like 400. Trained a couple months, and I murdered 500 on
Right.
test day. Fast as fuck. Not saying I could have done
And you
more.
never even went above 400.
No, not above 400. And so that recently happened in my last training session
Right.
with Jeremy Hamilton. Squatted all this stuff, just murdered all my lifts. So I do think that there's something about learning how to be fast, and train perfectly, where you don't need to grind. If you train to grind, you train imperfectly often.
But I still think, like, I did a small seminar at a CrossFit gym not too long ago, and we worked on deadlifts, and one of the things I noticed with those athletes is they've never spent any time grinding lifts. And so they would go to pull on something, and if it didn't immediately go, they backed off.
Right.
I found that,
That was
as
me.
well. I found that as well, but I found that was a taught thing, often by CrossFit or other coaches. Say, hey, if something doesn't feel right, drop it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's for sure, but there is good to both, right? I love sub-maximal training, and that's how I do all my stuff. But I am glad that I spent years doing the heavy powerlifting to have that confidence to know that, like, if the bar's still moving, keep fucking going.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's something for me. Like I'm a super mental lifter, so exactly when I felt like I would hit a wall, I just felt like, oh, that's it. But I didn't realize that the bar was still moving. So
Right.
I didn't understand
feels
the whole
heavy.
grinding, huh?
It just felt heavy.
Yeah, it just felt heavy. I'm like, all right, well, I guess it's moving slowly, so that means that's it. I can't move it up anymore. So I would drop it.
Yeah,
But then when I learned how to grind, it's like, no, the bar's still moving. Keep just pushing up. Then I was like, oh,
How's
shit.
Bart's grinding?
It's good. It's great. Yeah.
And at all facets?
It's never sub-maximal either.
It's all fast.
It's always maximal.
I like that a lot.
You trained a little bit of conjugate back in your day.
Yeah, so like to me personally, I believe like the way I train now is also sub-maximal, and I never grind any weights, and I always try to keep things like under a RPE 9. But I do think, I do believe that grinding is also a skill. It should also be trained, and I train that in my volume stuff. So for example, if I'm going for reps of 8, I might throw in a rep of 9 and 10. So I am grinding my 9th and 10th rep.
Yeah,
but
through
it's
a
something-
rep max, but it's
Yeah.
sub-maximal weight.
Those
Exactly.
would feel like a 1 rep max.
Yeah, it doesn't like I don't drop it like I would drop something that's like 95%, and I feel like I'm fried for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's where you're not trashing the CNS, but you're actually just learning that it's still going to come up, keep fighting.
Yeah, and that's why I like to train, like I guess my grind training,
Yeah.
which is something that's higher reps, 4x8, 4x10, 4x12.
I would just never prescribe it because I think even doing like a sub-max set of 4 as a beginner or anybody, they'll find a grind. you're gonna misload a weight or think like, oh, I got 225 for 5, and you can't, and so you're gonna end up fucking grinding almost by mistake. That's why I would never like program it or never try like, oh, I'm going in for the heaviest grind I can do today.
If you had someone like me though in the beginning, I would do one of these, and I'm like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of that comes
from,
but a lot of it just comes from the years of lifting.
Probably.
Having, you know, that confidence in yourself as an athlete or as a lifter that I've been in this situation before. I know that we can work through this.
Yeah. And there's also, I think, a mentality that, you know, powerlifting has gotten a lot more popular over the last couple of years, and the kind of cycles that would go into powerlifting a couple of years ago are different. They would already know, like, I'm fucking gonna smash this shit, and those are the guys pounding their head against the wall for a 1 rep max, and there's nothing that's gonna stop them, you know? Whereas now it is more popular, which is good.
It's a little more scientific.
It's a little more scientific, which is also fine, but I still think it brings that same type of mentality to the top athletes. There's no top athlete like, oh man, right?
No, you can't be timid about it.
Right, and so that's a part of the learning progress of how you train, right? Like you said, in the beginning you're like that, but now I bet you could grind like a motherfucker.
I hope so.
I bet you can. I bet you just learn through practice, right? It's just experience and everything else.
Exactly.
Right, which that's why I mean, like, I don't think it has to be, like, taught.
I think it's one of those things, exactly. I don't think that you can program grinding into someone's training.
Well, I think that's
a really shit idea if that's something you're going to
Well, I think that's kind of what Westside Conjugate does, is that they want you to take a 1 rep max every single week.
Yeah, but the 1 rep max varies so much that it's a 1 rep max with bands, it's 1 rep max with chains, it's 1 rep max with this bar or that bar or to a high box.
But you're still grinding.
You
but
are,
it's not,
but it's not.
That's a grind.
Right.
No,
that's not what's
but maybe not in conjugate. Conjugate is kind of philosophy, right? But like Westside, how people like try to do conjugate, you're grinding once a week.
Sure,
if you're doing it correctly.
I mean, we're also talking about a program that is built for heavy gear, just across the board. Whether we're going to talk drugs or we're going to talk, you know,
but 1 day a week's raw.
Sure.
And you grind.
Well, I mean, you can't raw your blood system.
Oh, so now we're talking about supplements.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, the Westside program is built for guys to be as strong as humanly possible. I'm not, you know, casting any judgment on that.
That sounds like you are.
These guys are pursuing.
They're gonna believe you. They're gonna believe you.
Yeah, the guys are pursuing that type of thing, and so they are. That you can do some different things training that way that you can't the other way around.
Hashtag Natty.
God. It matters so much less than
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
It matters so much less than people think it does.
I think if you go on the mentality of a 1 rep max, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Just go on like a badass. Turn on that.
How would you help someone like, let's say Gio, for example, back in the day, she would hit 205 on the squat for reps of 5 easy, even pausing for 5. But then you slap on 225 and they're just not able to do it.
That's a mental break in just having that other plate added on the bar. I've seen people where you can confuse them by adding change to hit the same weight and it's no big deal.
I was going to say, it also kind of have to do with females. Females often are really good at reps. Something, example, 90% would be a 3 rep max for us. This is all general because guys differ also, and how you train differs. But then a chick could hit like 5 for 90%. So some of that's taken into account. And then for something like Gio, I would be personal cues that I would be yelling at her. Sorry, like stay with it, driving the bar. And then 2 would be rep maxes, like you mentioned. If you do a hard set of 8, and the last 2 are little, then when you hit the 1 rep max, you'd be fine.
Nice.
And I'd also just play really loud music.
You know,
and
for
make her sniff ammonia until she passes out.
Definitely sniff ammonia. Or just huff paint.
Oh, is that what you do in the Highland game?
Into a sock and
oh, I think that happened in Mad Max.
Yeah. Well, you just get the Wawa man going in your head. And you just
Wawa man.
Yeah, you get the yeah. When you're huffing gas or paint, you get the Wawa.
Never done it.
Me neither. It's metaphor.
Alright, before the show gets any weirder, if there are any other questions that you guys would like to know the answers to, go ahead and write in the comments below. Make sure to like the video, share it with all your friends. Until next time.
Don't die. Like, so for my warm-up, if I'm gonna do heavy singles like in the garage.
In the garage.
So like I won't really chase like a true max because I'm training by myself.
You don't want that.
And so I'll do.
We want you to
I'll
die,
work
but
up
you
to
don't want
something like 95% and then shoot a rep max.